Welcome, loyal fans. Sadly, the site I use to select a commentator for my races is not working today, so you will have to deal with me, one of the default voices of the editing program. Anyway, hopefully nobody even cares. After all, these videos should be all about the racing. And boy, do we have a race on our hands today. The track is going to be Monza in Italy.
Specifically the version without the first chicane.
And the selected car is the Porsche 960C from 1988. It's a Le Mans prototype car, and is such a pretty fast one. On a track like Monza, this is going to be an eventful race. Guaranteed. Qualifying is the default 5 minutes, and the race itself lasts for 12 laps.
Only the racing soft tires can be used. Tire wear isn't set very high, so the tires will last for the entire race. Since there is also no mandatory pit stop, this is essentially just a sprint race, just like the last race. Dordonov's fastest practice lap was a 1 minute 25.881. But it's very hard to be consistent with this car, so any time of 1 minute 27 low or faster is considered a decent lap. Alright, now that we are up to speed with all the statistics, let's move on to the first race. Qualifying was pretty good and resulted in a pretty nice second spot on the grid. But you do have to worry about the entire grid of cars coming into the chicane behind you. Let's have a look at how this race unfolded. As was feared, there was quite some contact here. Sadly, this resulted in a spin by applying throttle when the car was imbalanced from a slight side tap. And just like that, you are at the back of the grid. The only option is to try and fight a way back through the entire field. Let's see what he can do in that regard. Genuinely didn't see that car creeping up on his right. Visibility is pretty terrible in VR for this car. Already back up to 10th place and sight on a big pile of cars, there might still be hope for this race. pretty strong comeback so far. Let's check back in a lap. That's a big group of cars. It's always risky to get involved, especially with a combination of a fast track and car. Let's see how this plays out. No contact there. Just an error in judgment due to being out of position on the track. That is the risk of these overtakes. That's how easy it is to get a penalty in this car. That didn't look like it was off track to me, but it was still a penalty.
Any idea how fast I am? I'm fast as fuck, boy!
Let's see if these cars in front get into a squabble so they can be overtaken. That was unfortunate. It looked like he could get past most of them, but now he is left behind and has some damage as well. That will slow him down for a bit.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And instead of overtaking a few or all of them, he has now fallen back to the second to last place. Some races are just not meant to be. All right, time to move on to the main event. First, we're doing some qualifying. We know the deal by now. At this point, Dordanov got a big surprise during the first qualifying. Something is different compared to the practice sessions. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. Do you see the big metal girders starting just before the 150-meter sign? Now I'll let you guess what Dordanov's brake marker was for this first chicane. Yes, it was indeed this metal girder.
We continue on through the Curva Grande, and we're going to head to the first braking marker here. So I've highlighted the 150 board. It's before that, because what I wanted to highlight is on the right-hand side. See these two girders there? I'm not sure exactly what they are. They are the perfect brake marker for this chicane, okay? So as they hit the edge of your screen, you can see them more clearly here on Chase Cam. You're going to hit the brake.
Well, obviously that didn't work out too well for this race, but the first race was a bust anyway. So that was used to adapt the braking marker to just judge some distance from the 150 board. Anyway, let's get back to the qualifying session at hand. That is quite the difference in lobbies. Dordanov improved his qualifying time with almost 8/10, but is now in 5th instead of 2nd place. The time that was good enough for pole in the last race would only have been a 12th place on this grid. Let's hope the race pace is not as insane. What the hell is this abomination?
What do they make at the tank factory?
Tanks?
That start was marginally better than from the first race. Still almost in last place again, but at least close to the field now. Let's first take a look at the highlights of this first part. Wow, he was quite close to taking several people out, but managed to just miss them all. That was a good save. Dordanov almost got out of that corner with minimal issues, but this tap from behind was the one that did him in. And it was the tank that was responsible.
I hate tanks.
Okay, I think we have seen enough. Back to the race. Here you can really see how terrible the vision is in this car. That is the most useful mirror you have. You barely see anything in it, and while you try to look, you have no idea what happens in front. So in this car, it's better to rely mostly on the radar in the center console. there was not enough space there. Or at least it was not given. That is pretty hard to judge. Sometimes you just have to take the gamble. Luckily, it did not result in a crash. new opportunity should arise soon enough. And there is the first penalty for going off track. Not much to argue there. But weirdly enough, no penalty for the other driver, even though he went off even farther. As you can see, nobody is immune to mistakes in races like these. And we are back in 7th place. But the two in front are still close, and so far we seem to have more pace. Let's hunt them down. Was a better exit, but the slipstream is rather strong here, still in 7th for now. While two dogs are fighting for a bone, the third runs away with it, and in this case, the bone is 5th place. Let's see if Dordanov can shake them off now he gains some free air.
Fast as fuck, boy!
That clean air really gave him some room to improve the pace. Looks like 5th place is in the bag. Let's skip forward a bit to see if he has enough time to catch up to the rest as well.
There's a drag skip.
Nothing noteworthy happened up until the last lap. The pace was really good and he was gaining a lot on the group in front, but there was simply not enough time. I'll let you watch the final lap to finish off this race. Another solid 5th place. Pace-wise, a podium should have been possible in this race. But as we have seen, it's very risky, especially in the start. So the risk of trying for a better result was simply not worth it with only one available time slot left for the evening. Let's hope for a possible podium in one of the future races. Until next time.